Town once again, protests against gender-based violence are continuing in the mother city. Demonstrators have now moved, we understand, to the Cape Town International Convention Centre. That, of course, is where the World Economic Forum is wrapping up. And ENCA's Ronald Masinda joins us now. Good afternoon to you, Ronald. Could you tell us what's been happening and what's happening right now?
Very good afternoon to you, Sally. Well, really an anticlimax to some of the protest action we saw over the past 3 days. Today's group, although it was dubbed as a total shutdown, only a few thousand people appeared here outside of the International Convention Centre here in Cape Town. I'm going to step out of shot and ask my colleague Mabuti to show you some of the visuals in the background. Of course, a large police contingent, law enforcement. Earlier on today, we saw the security beefed up, where we saw barbed wire fencing and a lot more fencing, more than the ones that we saw earlier in the week. I'm going to come back into shot, Sally, and explain to you some of the action that happened here. Basically, protests again on a standoff with police, and eventually the police chased them away. So not a single protest. There were quite a number of arrests made as well. We don't quite know the numbers quite yet because everything happened so quickly.
Of course, there were dramatic scenes of protest earlier this week, and just because the protesters are not there today, it doesn't mean that the killings have ended and the femicide problem still very much with us. And I understand that in the last 24 hours there have been reports from Cape Town of another woman, or two women in fact, who've been killed.
Two women indeed. One woman in the ages of 30, she was stoned to death in Gugulethu. Those news broke in the early hours of this morning. In fact, the Western Cape SAPS also confirmed details around that murder case, but no arrests have yet been made regarding that case. And then in another case where a woman was abducted, where she was with a boyfriend in Saitsi Kailicha, the man was shot. No details around whether his injuries or the state of his injuries, but the woman that was abducted, her body was since dumped not too far from Kailicha in an area called Monwabisi. And this can only heighten this issue of gender-based violence, not only in Cape Town, but in South Africa. Of course, we also heard from government during their press conference earlier this week saying that during the month of August alone, 30 women were killed at the hands of their partners. So this seems to be an issue that will continue going unless it is addressed, because we also heard from President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday trying to structure out a plan that will see the gender-based violence reduced in South Africa, saying that there has to be action where people must receive life sentences if they are found guilty of rape and murder. But it remains to be seen whether those things will be implemented by government.
Yes, indeed, and thank you very much, ENCA's Ronald Masinda in Cape Town. Such distressing news. A woman apparently stoned to death in Gugulethu in the early hours of this morning, and a woman murdered in Khayelitsha. It seems she was abducted with her partner. Just absolutely tragic and appalling.